And good evening, everyone, and welcome to Monday Night Live. What's up? Sorry I'm late. I was doing stuff. I was getting things ready. Forgot a few things, but that's all right. That's all right. Welcome to Monday night. Let's start out with the thank yous from last week. I know I go over it all the time, but those of you who do the free way of supporting us here and liking and subscribing and commenting, that's huge. It means a lot. Those who take that extra step and do the financial thing with the membership is amazing. And then the super thanks from last week, like Honey Rivera, Brian Moore, Kenneth Jacobs, and Bug. Can't tell you what that means. It keeps things going. It's just amazing. Honey Rivera is a special kind of person. Not only did she win a couple weeks ago, she ended up donating her win back. So we'll be giving away 2 paintings tonight because of Honey. But not only that, she had a super thanks last week and she bought a painting. So that's amazing. That's just absolutely amazing. So thank you, Honey. You're the best. I got a couple things for show and tell. If I have them over here, which things were crazy, so hopefully I have everything. But we're going to be working on that big dollar bill painting tonight. I have big plans for that painting. That's a really big painting for this year. It's physically big for me too, but it's big on what I plan on doing with it, and I'll get more into that as we get going. What else? Yeah, I got the Infinity Blade to show you, and that's what's going on. All right, let me turn things over and we will get things rolling. I'll show you the new paintings. I got 3 new ones for you, and we'll get rolling. I'll say hi to everyone too. All right, which one do I want to go to? I want to go to that one. Hello, everyone. You guys are crazy. I love you guys. All right, let me see if I can get comments up here, make things a little bit easier. Did you all like the ad today for the live feed? Better Off Dead. Such a good movie. All right, so I'll just quickly say hello to as many as I can. You guys are amazing. I love you guys. Dan Mayer, what's up? Brian Moore, what's happening? Kyle, what's happening? Ian, Chris, Raul, Grumpy, what's going on? Patty C, what's happening? Robert O'Malley, Mr. Garcia. Hello, Mike Manning. Oh, let's do this. I want to do this real quick. Not that he was doing a bad job, but let's make this guy the moderator. Here we go. So we have a new moderator for tonight. Brian Moore, thank you. In fact, that's our new moderator. So when Brian speaks again, he will have a pretty blue color name, and he now has the power. So Brian's responsibility is to make sure that Rachel doesn't start trouble like she did on Facebook. So that's your job, Brian. Kelly Drake, what's happening? Ron, what's going on? Brandon, what's happening? Hello, everyone. All right, you guys are crazy. Brian, yeah, it's fun. You have the band stick, which is fun. All right, let me open up that because I'll need that for sure. All right, let's get to it. We're going to look at some paintings, and then we're going to get right into this thing. Yeah, I'll talk about this painting when we get there. Oh no, before I do that, let's do quick show and tell. One really quick show and tell. If you are following Mr. McKay and Down and Dirty Tricks, you know his work really well. Scott did a really, really amazing thing for me this week. He sent me this, which is crazy. So if you've seen Scott's work, you know Scott's work. So out of the blue, he just sent this to me. It showed up last week, and yeah, it's crazy. So it has a note on the back. To Steve, we've come a long way since the early days. Great times with a good friend. So Scott and I've known Scott for 20 years now. We started classes at Bear Air, which is a big airbrush online supply place back in the early 2000s, and yeah, we did a lot. So yeah, thank you, Scott. That's amazing. He also sent me some supplies for the Wasteland And if you are a Fallout gamer, you'll know what these are. So hope that's going to work. There we go. So he sent me a bunch of these, which are good. So I'll be able to buy stuff when the apocalypse hits. So thank you for that. What did I do there? I don't know what that is. I'm jumping around. The other thing I want to show you real quick, because I finished it and you guys saw this because I posted it, is the Infinity Blade. So this is all done now. I'm going to try to keep up on comments, but I really want to kind of stay focused so I can get a bunch of stuff done. I don't have the jumbo blade. I don't have the jumbo camera in right now. I don't know if I'll be able to do this, but we'll try. This lens is a good lens, but it's not like the, oh, that's pretty good. So that gives you an idea. Now this has UVLS on it. And I'm sorry, this has Autoborn Sealer clear on it. So you can see the difference. We talked about a little bit about the clear. I opted for this clear on this one so I could kind of get it done. If I use automotive clear, I'd have to wait a while, and I want to kind of get this framed. So the clear isn't as shiny as automotive clear, but it's just as like clear straight on. It's just not as smooth. I could sand this and try to buff it, but for this scale, this works really, really well. So I just got to build a frame for this guy, and it's going to be ready to go. So that's how that came out. Yay. I still may clear coat it. It depends on how long it takes me to build a frame. Rick Lotta, what's going on? Michael McClung, what's going on? Michael, I missed your feed last week because we had it rained like crazy Friday night, and we took on a ton of water. So I spent my Saturday and Sunday vacuuming out the studio and basement. It was crazy. So I think that's all I have for show and tell. Yes? Yes. Yes. Okay, good. Let's look at some paintings. So again, thank you, JC. So again, this week we're giving away 2, thanks to the lovely Honey Rivera. And we'll just run through these. I think that would be the way to go. So if you are new here, welcome. Or if you're shy, welcome also. The way to win one of these paintings is simply just type Gary Shees. Thank you, buddy. The way to win one of these things is to, come on, man, that's not what I want to do. Yeah, that's what I want to do. It's real simple. You just type in 543, the number's 543, and then give me a suggestion for one of these black and white paintings. That's all you got to do. First one tonight comes from the lovely Honey Rivera. Honey last week asked for a bunch of stuff, but 2 of the things, hey Patty, 2 of the things she asked for, or one of the things she asked for was a paper airplane. I love doing these paintings. And these paintings meaning the super kind of simple ones, but they're really, really effective. So things like the white chess piece that I did, I think I did a piece of origami. And I just love the way these real simple ones come out. Let's see if I can get that focused. There we go. So this is the paper airplane. A little bit of history. Some of the earliest paper, I guess paper planes, even though they weren't planes because they didn't know what planes were, date back to 2,000 years ago in China. These early planes, I guess, in quotes, were made from paper, linen, and bamboo. The earliest known modern version of a paper airplane dates back to the early 1900s, which makes sense because of the Wright brothers doing their thing. And they used them for experiments to kind of learn about lift and thrust. Currently the largest paper airplane to ever fly had a wingspan of nearly 60 feet, and that was German built. And the paper airplane that holds the distance record for the farthest flight is 289 feet and 9 inches. So there you go. So that's your paper airplane. And I just called that one First Flight. I thought that was cute. So that's that one. That is that one. James Cully, what's up, buddy? Patrick, what's happening, Pat? Elon Musk paper airplane. Yeah, no, it would be made out of $1,000 bills if it was Musk's paper airplane. Ryan, what's up, buddy? John Lennon's Rolls Royce. Michael, you're killing me. Because Michael asked for things that would take like 800 years to paint. Yeah, I love that. I love his Rolls. Next up is Steve Parsons from all the way down under. Last week asked for a couple of different things, but one of the things he asked for was a cobra, and I did it. I did the cobra. I did a thing. That's what this guy looks like. There he is. Okay. Make sure the focus is weird. There you go. So some fun facts about the king cobra, and these facts are thanks to treehugger.com. The king cobra is the longest venomous snake and comes in at about 12 feet long. The hood on a cobra is actually made up of its ribs, which is fun. They usually eat other snakes, so they are cannibals, and they can move at 12 miles an hour. Now, considering humans can run average 10 miles an hour, that's not good for humans. And its lifespan, the lifespan of a cobra is about 20 years, which is kind of cool. And he is smiling. The entire time I painted this, all I could think of was that groundhog, or not groundhog. What's the video with the, what am I looking at? With the groundhogs or whatever, that just yell Alan. So I call this one Alan because that's all I kept saying was Alan, Alan, Alan. Don't ask me why. All right, so there's a cobra. And finally, last but not least, look at you guys coming in with your 543 suggestions. I love it. Finally, last but not least, because I missed yelling his name when he popped in last week, but I'm going to make up for that right now, Mr. Anderson. Mr. Anderson last week asked for Blue Origin launch at night. So I thought I'd go a little bit overboard on this one too because it's fun. So here's my Blue Origin flight, and I'll get you guys close in on this. This is a 543 FC, which is full color, which is not something I normally do, but I wanted to have some fun with this one, and this is what I got. Of course, Blue Origin was founded by Mr. Jeff Bezos, Mr. Amazon, in 2000, and started by creating heavy lift rockets, which included the Shepard and the brand new Glenn rocket. The new Glenn rocket had its first launch in January of this year. In 2019, Bezos unveiled a plan for the Blue Moon, which was a project designed to carry crew to the moon. So this is what I got. Now this is hard to see, but if you look real close, I did something on this one that, you know, it's difficult for a photographer to get because of exposure, but in the background of this are all the stars. So normally when a photographer takes a picture of something really bright like a rocket taking off, everything else is blacked out. It's why when you see pictures of the moon from space, you can't see any stars, or the Earth, because it just, to get the exposure right on the bright object, it wipes out all the dim objects like the stars. But when you do paint, you can make that happen. So this is kind of fun. This is mostly all airbrushed. There was some stencils used in the clouds, and then I obviously used a paintbrush for the the towers and everything, but it was a lot of fun to do. So this is just called Blue Origin. So that is it. That's your 3 for that. Mongoose can kill a cobra. I didn't put that down, but yes, the mongoose is the natural predator of the cobra. What else we got? You guys are awesome. All right, good. So that's it. So this week we have a whopping 23 people on the list, which is fantastic. I love that. Make sure these are in order so that when I go back to get this, I will not be flopping around like I normally am. But yeah, that Blue Origin painting was a lot of fun. Essentially, here is the only template I used for that, right here. So what it was I cut out the rocket, but then I used that to make a template out of tape. So I used adhesive mask for the rocket to keep it real clean. And then I just cut out the clouds and blocked off the clouds when I sprayed the black, but then everything else was just freehand. It was a lot of fun. And then this, I kind of took this photo and just used this as a guide. All the clouds are different on this than they really are in the photograph. And I also changed the position of the rocket because I wanted it more of a, kind of just taking off type of thing. And I'm burping, and I'm sorry about that. But there you go. All right, so there's your 3. So again, if you'd like to win one of these, you know what to do. Just, actually, you could win one of these. If whoever wins tonight doesn't pick them, they'll go up on my site. You can purchase them and keep the feed going. Or if you want to wait and hope it doesn't sell, you can also go and do your suggestion, and maybe you'll win one, and then you can pick it next week. So That's how it works. Because you can pick anyone on the site. You know what I mean? You can go on my website and click on the 543 categories. I've been terrible about taking off paintings that people win. So if you win and I send you an email back and say, hey, that one's already gone, please don't be too mad at me. Because you can just pick another one. But it's happened a couple different times. So I apologize for that. All right, I'm going to move some of these magnets and some of this other stuff because the dollar bill painting it's going to need some room here. So here it is. And you guys, I think I've seen it once since I've worked on it. But this is what it is so far. And if you're not familiar with this painting, and I'm going to adjust things to kind of get it so you can see it. We're going to work on this guy right here, this bill right here. Let's see if I can raise it up a little bit. As Josh Groban would say, you raise me up. All right. We're going to move this out a little bit. So we're going to work on this dollar bill. Do I have a photo of the... I think I still do. Yeah. Here is the... That's the reference photo that I took, God, years ago. I think 2005, way back in Scott at Bear Air time. I started this painting a bunch of different times and just never finished it. It was originally on a big piece of canvas. I think it was like 2 feet by 3 feet. It was going to be like this giant painting, but then I abandoned it. I tried it again, and then I had a different version of it. So this time I'm like, I'm doing it. I'm going for it. In fact, here is a photo of that canvas, or part of that canvas. It was a lot different back then because my skill was not, well, it was 20 years ago, so this is what you get for 20 years ago. It was coming together, but I'm glad it didn't happen. I'm glad I got a chance to do it again. And again, if, you know, I talked about this originally when I was working on it, what I want is this like old master type feel when this is done. Here's Caravaggio with that really dark background and heavy lighting in the front. I love that. Here's a Goya, same kind of thing. Lily Martin Spencer, which is also great still life. And again, you get this real close-up, short field type of thing with really dark, you know, that really dark feel. Here's Chardin. And same kind of thing, really strong lighting, but really dark background. So that's kind of what I'm going for with this. And I've started the background with you guys. This is kind of washed out because of the light, but the background is pretty dark. But I got the background to about 80% of where it's going to be at the end of it, because I'm going to do the bills and then adjust the background to match everything else. So that's kind of the rundown. The only other thing I can tell you is this is on an aluminum panel, or aluminum and PVC panel. So it's got a PVC core between two pieces of thin aluminum. And it's based with Autoborn Sealer that I mixed up special this color, which I'll explain in a second because it's important to what we're doing. And yeah, that's what I got. What else we got? You guys are rolling. Okay, we're doing it. Let's jump back to that so I can see what's going on. So what we're going to do is like I said, there's still work to be done on the background. I actually have a little scratch here, which let me figure out this camera first, because I think this will be our kind of, this will be our kind of go-to camera here. Number 2, so I can back this one out. Yeah. All right, so here's what you're probably going to be looking at for most of the feed, because you'll be able to see the whole bill. I'll zoom in because we're going to be basically working on this part here, I think. So what I'm going to show you is kind of how if you notice this is just blank right now, how I kind of transfer some of those details on to get started with something like this. And move that down all the way. There we go. So how I kind of manage that and some of the ideas that are going to go on with this. I don't know how much progress I'm going to make on this because this painting is going to take me a long time. Hopefully not too long because I have plans for it. There's a big prestigious juried art show in Ashtabula, Ohio, which of all places. And it's known across the country, mostly because of the number one prize is a bunch of money. There are 2 first place prizes that are about $12,000, and it's not really the I mean, the money's great, yes, but it's the prestige of winning the show. It's very difficult because it's so popular to even get into the show. It's the Paul and Norma Tikkanen Painting Prize is what it is. So I have this one planned for this show, and I also got to get this one framed, but I also have Alber's Fender as my other painting that I'm going to enter in that show and see how they do. So obviously I got to frame this one. This is on clayboard, and but this one's done. It's ready to go. I just got to get this in, in its frame. So that's that. Now you're all caught up. I know it took 4.5 days. So what I've done is I've made a full-size copy of just this bill, and this is 1-for-1. And I also have a black and white copy that I'm going to use to transfer some of the details on here as soon as I can grab it here. Here we go. Looks like that. So what I'm going to do for this, there's a lot of ways to do this. Let me show you. Do I have a soft enough pencil? Yeah, maybe. I'll show you 2 ways that kind of will get this done. And I think that'll, that way we get to see a little bit of both. I have lost comments again, so I'm going to back out of this. Let me close that, and I will rejoin so that I can get comments, which would be nice. The other thing I want to mention too, while I'm doing this little tech update here and get my shite together, is sorry for my head in the way all the time too. Those of you who have made the switch over to YouTube, thank you so much. One thing there is kind of a bummer about YouTube, and that's if you don't have premium, the feeds and videos get interrupted with ads. I apologize for that. I have it set at the lowest setting. However, you'll still get them. I use Amazon. I use YouTube a lot, so I did get the premium, so I didn't even think about it. But I do apologize for those people that find that excessively annoying. I know Facebook didn't have that. They will soon, which is what I just got a notice from. They were just asking. Me on my pro page if I want to get in on the ad program. So that's coming for Facebook as well, as if Facebook couldn't get any worse. So what I can only say to you is if you, out of all the subscriptions I have, I really, really love YouTube. I love the creators. I love finding different people, artists and musicians, and I really use it a lot, which is why I ended up going with the premium version. I don't want to sound like an advertisement for them, but I get a lot out of it. So if the ads really bug you and you want a decent platform, I would invest in the premium part of it, but you don't have to, obviously. All right, so 2 ways we're going to do this. Let me adjust this again so that we can get some of this goodness, that, and this. And I'm going to drop the exposure a little bit because we are set up for Open Studio. I'm going to have to get closer. Interesting. Alrighty. That's cool. I don't mind that. Here we go. I got comments again. I missed a bunch of them. I'm sorry. Is there a 20% tariff on this? Grumpy, no, not for you guys. Screw that. There are no tariffs. There's no extra charge for my stuff. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Here we go. I'm going to try to jump back real quick in case I missed anything crazy. All right. Yeah, I can't get through all these. You guys are amazing. Hello, Tim. What's up, Tim? Actually, Tim's here, so I'm going to... Tim, you didn't do anything wrong, but I gave Brian the power of the band stick today. So you're off the hook, Timothy. There we go. All right. So there are a couple ways to do it. I'll show you the way that Scott kind of does it, and then I'll show you the way that I like to do it too. And there's a number of different ways, but one of the ways you can do it is you take a soft pencil. This probably isn't soft enough. This is a number 2 pencil, but it'll work for kind of what we're doing. And I'm going to turn out this one so you can kind of see. All you do is kind of like take your soft pencil. This, like I said, this might not be soft enough. Usually, if you use this method, just go out or order like a 4B or a 6B pencil, really soft pencil. And you just kind of put the graphite on the back of that. And then what you can do is you can then redraw on top of the copy or your image. And what that does is, if it works, yeah, hopefully you can see that. I'll get you guys in close so you can hopefully see it. You see that? It's super light, but it's right there. So again, if I had a softer pencil, that would have been a darker pencil line. And that's a great way to kind of get your image transferred on there. Something this big, you could also use a projector on too, which is what I did on the first version of this. I used a Artograph prism projector, which is kind of fun. I was planning a coup. Tim, you could take over anytime you want. I'll sit back. Oh, that's great. All right. Now the other way to do it, which I find is a little bit faster way than that because you eliminate a step, is you go and purchase yourself some Saral paper, which looks like this. Probably still has the same box. This is a really old box, but they haven't changed much in 50 years. And it's just a wax-free transfer paper. And you get them in different colors, but I just get the graphite one, which looks like this. Piece of tissue. One side has tissue on it. The other side has this graphite powder embedded in it. And then you guessed it, you just kind of slide this up underneath. Make sure that's in the right spot. And then you can just do the same thing. I'm going to use I usually use a ballpoint pen because it doesn't, it doesn't catch on the paper at all. It just kind of rolls along the paper, obviously because ballpoint, and then what you do is you just kind of trace it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by kind of tracing some of the details of these letters here. And then we're just going to kind of get into some painting. Again, I don't know how far I'm going to get on this because this painting is going to be one of those paintings where it just kind of, I'll get done what I can get done and I'm not going to rush it or anything. If anyone is interested, this painting will be for sale eventually, but it's obviously not really there until it's done, and it's definitely going to be put in a couple shows. So if it is something that you're interested in, know that there's going to be a little bit of a wait on this one. However, you can always send me a message. Yeah. All right. So there we go. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to gently indicate where that little shadow is. So there you go. I should have switched to this one so you can kind of see it, but you get the idea. I just used the ballpoint pen and traced around. Since that went kind of quick, I'm going to also do this part in here so you can kind of see me doing it. And what I'm doing is I'm outlining the shapes. So obviously there are letters here and everything, and the details and the etching on the bill. When I do stuff like this, I try to turn that off because I don't want to see United States. I don't want to be spelling out letters. What I want to do is I'm just getting the shapes, because once my brain starts taking over, that's when things start to look not as real. You know what I mean? Because my brain's going to be like, oh no, that's what this is. And it takes over, and then all of a sudden, it doesn't look like what it's supposed to look like. So here we go. I think that's good. Probably get that fold in there so I can catch it later. Again, so I'm looking for edges and interesting details that need to be kind of put in the right spot. Thank you, Mike Manning, for that. Ballpoint pen. Yes, Gary, it would work better than a quill in this instance, ballpoint. But I mean, if you had like a ruling pen like this has like a really soft rolled over edge. That would work as well. Not that you would want to use that, but as long as it doesn't tear the paper, you're good to go. Anything like that would work. Now let's show you what that does. Hopefully that gave me enough. So when I check this, I have this guy taped in place. It's in the right spot. So I'm not going to take it off yet. I'm just going to kind of fold it up because I want to make sure that it worked out right before I pull it off. And it did. I'll get you in close so you can see it. So now you have this really light pencil line. The big thing with this stuff here, the criticism is sometimes it puts like a much darker line than you would actually need. That's, yeah, it can, but it also comes up with kneaded eraser, like you can erase it really easily, so it doesn't really bother me that way. But it is one of the criticisms that I've heard of this stuff, that people, would rather do it the other way. And again, it's more of a thing that, you should try it both ways and see which one works better for you. So that looks good. So I'm going to actually pull this off right now because I don't need this on here. Normally I would trace out a bunch of it, but for tonight we're just going to kind of concentrate on one small area and see how we do. So I'll put this aside because I will use it later, but I won't use it later today. There we go. And thank you to my friends at Spray Gunner. I placed my order and I finally got in the new 4021. I have not even cracked open this bottle yet. So I'm super excited about that. What I need to do is, guys know I pre-reduce all my stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get all new bottles and just start from scratch with all these pre-reductions and see how it goes. So you're not going to probably see that tonight other than just if I randomly use it, but I can't wait. Can't wait. And Michael's doing a new portrait. That's awesome. I can't wait to see that. Awesome. Awesome. You guys are doing it. So I got my order in from Spray Gunner. It was delayed a day because of all the storms we were having here, but yeah, I can't wait to get into it. It's going to be fun. Now this feels too dark, but I'll move a light over. Maybe that'll help. Maybe I should go to the other camera. Nah. We are going to zoom in though. We are going to do that. Hold on, let me switch to this camera so you don't have to go on the goofy ride. I don't know why that's not working all of a sudden. Let's see, I want to be the very best. No one ever does. There we go. While I sing Pokemon. All right. And then I will darken this a little bit, and you should be able to start to make out, you can see the pencil lines now, but you should be able to make it out a little bit better. There we go. That's what we're looking at. It only took 40 years to get this started. Grumpy, that's a great question. Pre-mixed paint. There was another question too, and did I write it down? I don't know if I wrote it down. Last week, someone had asked what the shelf life is on illustration colors. Createx has a incredibly long shelf life. Do I still have it? Where's my... Yeah, well, any of these will do. So these are my normal paints here. So this is detail cobalt blue. I use this blue a lot, but it's taken me a while to get through it. So they've already gone through a label change since I've been using this bottle. It's well over 2 years old, this one, and the paint is fine. It does tend to separate and gel up a little bit over time. Like a brand new bottle is going to definitely feel different than this one, but unreduced paint lasts a very long time. As far as reduced paints go, I do use a lot of the black and white, so they don't sit in the bottles very long before I have to mix up new. But I've never had a problem with pre-mixing paint. So I would suggest only pre-mixing colors you use all the time, because it does, those do separate out a lot. I have to shake those a lot more than I do the regular ones. However, for the most part, it's not too bad. All right, there's no masking on the background of this. I'm not going to mask it off, even though this is a pretty sharp line, so I'm going to use a lot of freehand shields to do that. But the first thing I have to do is I have to establish the brightest part of this bill. What I've done with the Otterborn sealer here is I mixed up a color that's more like the mid-tone. Let's see if I can show you. Yeah, I don't even have a good one here. Almost like this color right here, even though this is a little bit more yellow. That's the color I was kind of shooting for this type of thing. So that way I have room to go either lighter or darker. The other way to do it is pick the very lightest color, this color here, and then just do your darks. But I like going both, kind of having both ends of the spectrum to work. So we're going to add the white or the lighter part of it now. Oh, that's cool, Michael. I saw you show the picture of that, the old guy sleeping in the woods. Yeah, that's going to be another one. Poco, what's up, man? I want to be the very best. I saw Kyle's comment. All right. So I'm almost ready to run out of the white here. This is 1:1, and it's 1 part paint to 1 part reducer. So I'm almost out. So when I'm out, I'm going to switch to the 40-21, which is going to be exciting. I hope I can tell the difference. I mean, everyone's been saying how crazy good it is. I hope I notice. Okay, so this is white. It's going to need a little bit of yellow. As I open the palette, there we go. We're not going to do the palette cam today because I'm not going to use the paint brushes, but a little bit more light on that. Okay. Golden yellow and a little bit of black. All right, so where am I going with this? All right, so, oh, did I do that? That was close. I hit the brush on the board, but not the needle. Woohoo! So I'm going to grab a little bit of golden yellow, just a tiny bit on the end of this brush, to kind of push that into like a really pale yellow. And I think I was going to add a little bit of black to it, but I'm not going to. I'm going to leave it right there. The black kind of pushes it down a little bit, but I'm just going to kind of go for that. I think it's going to work. You do have to sing when you paint. It's part of the job. Oh, I don't have any of my big templates pulled out, which I'm going to need. I got them all in a folder because I don't use them that often, obviously, because I'm doing tiny stuff. But I'm going to need it for this. So let's grab this one. The Andrea Mistretta template. I love this template. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm just really kind of blocking off areas I don't want to get a bunch of paint on. Put the reference somewhere here so I see what I'm doing. Oh, and that's green. That's lovely. All right, I got this. Also, now you can really see that where I smashed this painting. I don't know how that happened, but maybe we'll fix that tonight too. So that's going to be white. I'll turn that off a little bit. So what I want to do is I want to just kind of like use the template to kind of act as that hard edge. Now the beauty of using a freehand shield instead of masking this off, and I could certainly mask off these bills in reverse, but when I do this, I'm going to get a really sharp line where I need it, but I can also back this template off a little bit, and I'll be able to get like some soft transitions on that as well, which will make this not look like an airbrush painting. You know what I'm saying? I'm still getting a lot more white than I am of yellow, but that's okay. So I'll leave that right now, and I'll start moving on to this guy here. And again, I'm not really worried about any of the details here. I'm just kind of blocking in these changes in value. So I'm starting to set up where the light is and how the light kind of dances across this bill. Now the beauty of this too is as I'm going with this, like I was saying, like this, the yellow isn't really showing here. So that's fine. If I want to add more yellow, I can always do that. The tough part is if you add too much yellow, then that becomes more of a repair. When you put something down and you need to add a little bit more to it, I don't consider that a repair. That's pretty easy to do. However, if I have to go back and fix something, then that's a whole different deal. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to kind of find out where this line is up here. Let me move the camera a little bit because I realize I'm going to shoot a little bit higher than you guys see. I saw that, Bug. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that quite a bit. Let's make sure we're focused. Yar. Thank you, buddy. Got a big fat heart. You guys rock. All right. Oh, Patty, it's snowing. We had frost on the ground last night, and then that's so, like, bleh. All right. Here's the other way you can kind of get, like, you don't have to trace everything as far as, you know, putting the masking or the transfer paper down or the graphite. You can also do this kind of flip technique. So I'm going to kind of line this up here so that this is in the right spot. And you guys can't see it because it's off the page over here to the right, but I'm just going to make sure the back side's lined up too. That way I know I kind of have it all in the right spot. Not even going to tape this down, but I'm just going to kind of well, maybe I will. Yeah, I won't. I just want to see kind of where that line crosses over. And it kind of goes like this. So it comes up to the point right about there. So I'm just going to kind of stare at that for a second. And then when I drop that down, I still have the image kind of in my vision. So I can just kind of drop that in. So I do that a lot. If there's like just a little section that I got to kind of put in, I'll line it up, look to where it is, and then I'll just kind of drop it in. So that way you don't have to go through the whole process of, you know, taping everything up or leaving it on there. Michael McClung, thank you, buddy. Oh, you guys are awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Keep those 543 suggestions coming in too. You guys are rocking. Excellent. Again, we're going to give away 2 paintings this week. Kyle picked his painting. Kyle, your painting is on the way. I think I've gotten everything out, so that's good. I think I talked about it before too. I'm just going to keep going with this white color while we're talking. Oh, I need to do that too. With Facebook, I could kind of message people directly through my personal page. And that is seemingly difficult or impossible with YouTube, which is okay. This one I am going to tape down because I got to get this right. Actually, I don't want to do that. So what I've been doing is the winners I post on my social media pages like Facebook and Instagram. So if you want to see if you've won, if you missed it on the night that we draw it, just hit my Facebook or Instagram the next day on Tuesday, and I'll post the winner, so we'll know. All right, so what I really needed was this line right here. So I'm going to do that the same way. So I kind of look at it for a second, get my hand in the right spot, and then that will allow me to kind of like get it traced in where it should be. There we go. Again, does that need to be exactly perfect in the right spot? In this painting, no, it doesn't. In some paintings, like the creek painting, I wanted everything right on the money. I didn't want anything, you know, not in where it should be, or not, you know, I wanted everything where it should be. So that was really important for me to get all that really, really perfect. But on this painting, you know, no, it's not that big of a deal. If something's not quite, I mean, if it's obviously wrong, that's bad. But for this one, no. If it's close, that's close enough for me. So again, the reason why I needed that line was because this corner right here of the bill is all nice and bright. The next question someone would possibly have is, you know, is it better to do the light areas first or the dark areas first? Once you get really a command of kind of messing around with the paint and how it works, you can kind of do it either way. It's a little bit easier to do the lights first because then you don't get any of that blue shifting that you would normally get with airbrushing, because all the light colors are down already, where you're not putting a light color on a warm color and then having it shift blue. So that's that. But if, you know, like I said, if you have a pretty decent control over the color and your airbrushing, you can counter that blue shift pretty easily. So in that way, it doesn't really matter too much. Here we go. Oh, did I miss Scott? Scott, welcome. Yeah, there we go. Poco's in. And I will ship to anywhere that the United States Postal Service will deliver to. So, and that shipping is on me if you win. So you don't have to worry about anything. You could be anywhere you want to be. And if you win, you win. So, well, the one thing I have to say about international, though, is if you win, these paintings come matted but unframed. So there is an option on the website for the winners, or anyone really, to have the 543s framed here, and then I ship them out. They come in a 5x7 frame, either black or white. I strongly suggest, if you're an international customer, to not do that, because it makes the shipping about 10 times what it changes the category so much that it jumps up, like, not 10 times, maybe 5 times, but still it's a lot. So they're very easy to frame. We frame them really, really well here, like kind of not kind of professionally. Try to do a good job. But again, the shipping internationally doesn't really make too much sense with the framed pieces. So I would just kind of say, go with the unframed one, the matted one, and then just frame it when you get it and love it to pieces, and that's it. Again, and like I said, I try to do a really good job with the framing, and they're signed on the back, and they're a lot of fun, and they work. But again, it's more the shipping on that's a killer. And as we were joking, but really not joking, there is no 25% more. There is no tariff on the stuff that I sell. So what it is what it is. Now, we are kind of, stuck when it comes to customs and duties and the exchange rate, but, no one can control that. So, oh, messages. Yeah, JC, I got to look into that. That'd be awesome. Yeah, look at all those go. Good. Yeah, I gotta go look. I didn't do much with the tube side of it. With the when I was doing the live streams, for my UK friends before. But yeah, I mean, now that we're here, I'll be figuring it out. So thank you, JC. I will go look, do a better job at looking into that. 33% on all. Yes, I do, JC. Yeah, there is the Leahy tariff that's going to be instituted shortly. So be careful of that. Good. I'm going to leave this area right here, and we're going to kind of concentrate on these letters in here, because they are all green and they are all right there. So I'm going to do this and a little bit of that. I think I might end up swapping the lens out to get the close-up view. I didn't think I'd need it because the painting's so big. I think I'm going to do that. Yeah, because we're only working in this small area right here, and this area is about the size of my thumb. So yeah, I think when we come back from the giveaway, which should be coming up in about 8 minutes, when I get into doing, because all this is going to be freehand, I'll switch the lens, so that'll allow you to get more straight on and also closer, and the color is better, and blah blah blah. So let me just keep setting this up then. For the back side of this, I want to add a little bit more yellow to this and a little bit of that black, because I want this a little bit darker. And then, yeah, we're going to actually make some time on this, which is fun. So all I did was grab a little bit more of that golden yellow. So we'll add that in there. And then this time I'm going to add just a drop of black, but this black is, again, pre-reduced. So this is really, really reduced black. It's 1 part black to 20 parts reducer. What's really going to be interesting is with that new reducer, the 4021. I'm really interested to see how differently, because I'm going to mix them up the same way, the same ratios that I use now, to see how different they are. And again, I hope they feel real different, because all I've heard is like amazing things about this stuff. So it's taken me long enough to get it, for crying out loud. Oh, Poco, that's interesting. You know what? I know your last text said, just let me know if I need anything. That might be fun to we'll definitely do a collaboration on something. Yeah, definitely do something. All right, so now I've got this kind of ochre yellow. Just want to, yeah, this is perfect. So this is the base color now for this fold behind, and I am going to switch the camera after this, because you guys will be able to get much closer than this. So now I'm just going to kind of go over this base gray that I already have. And if I put this on lightly enough, all those little pencil lines are still going to be visible, which is great. They're going to kind of get covered with paint, which is also good because it kind of lessens their impact. But it also, you know, allows me to still see where everything is. I'm holding my breath too because normally I would be working from the tablet as a reference photo, and the color is different on the tablet than it is on this photocopy that I had printed out. So I'm holding my breath because when I go to work on this on my own and I'm using the tablet, I'm hoping the color isn't going to be crazy different. It shouldn't be that bad, but we shall see. Good. Now, can I use this anywhere else? Yeah, I can actually. So this little fold right here, where it's just kind of, the light isn't quite hitting it, has more of a yellow cast to it, so I'll give that a little hit too. This will be really good. We'll be pretty much set up to do all the details right after the giveaway. I'll mix up a nice dark green, and we'll go to town. Yeah, I like it. So right there's a little bit of overspray, and again, you know, you don't really have that camera to see that, although yeah, you can make it out. So I can take a softer eraser. I said a softer eraser. This one is, well, it's still kind of hard. This is a 7058B from Faber-Castell. So what I can do is that overspray doesn't have a lot of adhesion to it. So if I'm really gentle with this, I can remove that overspray without damaging the background. The good news is I have to respray the background here anyway because of this damage, but this way I get to kind of show you how, if that background was in good shape, that I wouldn't have to repaint it just to get rid of a little bit of overspray. So again, you know, that gives that little spot this softness that you wouldn't get if it was masked off. And that's a big thing. Because for me, I don't want someone to look at this and say, oh, nice airbrush painting. I want someone to just say, hey, that's a good painting. You know what I mean? So I want to take the strengths of both, but I don't want to highlight either one. You know, I don't want, I mean, some people do, and that's fine. You know, if you have a painting that you did all with palette knife, you can usually tell, you can feel the palette knife. You know what I mean? And that's great, and that's awesome. But for me, I don't want the tool to be the star of the image. I want the image to carry all the weight. So, yay. Look at you guys go. How are we looking? I think we're ready. Yeah, we got 3 minutes. I'm gonna clear the deck here. I'm gonna move some stuff. But now you can clearly see the difference between the underpainting here and then where we're going with it. And then we'll get some details put on this in a few minutes and kind of show you where it's all going. All right, so let me move all this out of the way carefully, because I want to get the stuff out. And again, if you are looking for an original Steve Leahy, there are 2 on the front page of my website that are heavily discounted right now. So if you filed your taxes and you get all kinds of money back and you want something that's unique and will do better than the S&P 500, you can grab an original painting. All right, let me do this. While you guys are hanging out, I will take a minute here to swap out the lens too, which will be lovely. And that will be a much better experience for you all. There we go. Yeah. This is my my macro lens, my big EFS 60. So I love this thing. It does a great job. Your ridiculously close open studios with the razor blade paintings and all that other stuff is thanks to that little lens right there. The kit lens that came with it, this 15 to 45 millimeter lens, is actually a really, really nice lens, considering it's, you know, it's basically a freebie that comes with the camera. But it isn't anything like this guy. It's a beauty. 'Tis a beauty. Okay. Brian Moore. Yeah, Brian Moore. That's also something that I've been dropping the ball on. I haven't been updating the graph on the points, but we are keeping track. We got all that done. The only thing I can't or haven't done yet is take a look at the where the Facebook folks ended up with their points, because you're not going to lose. Well, you are going to lose those points, but anyone who is really close to a painting on Facebook is going to get a painting. Don't worry about that. I just got to get my act together and figure that part out. But the point system is rolling, and not to get too far into it, but we reward you for just hanging out and doing stuff like making suggestions and that kind of stuff. So you get points, and then when you hit 80 points, you automatically get a painting. So that's how that goes, 543. All right. Let's put them up, and then we'll pick a winner. Or no, we're going to pick two winners tonight. So first up is Miss Honey Rivera. Asked for a paper airplane. That's what I got there. That one's called First Flight. Oh, can I even... This one ready? Jumbo close. Hold on. Let's see how close we can get. Oh, look at that. There we go. Sorry, I'm focusing. Focus, focus. Focus Pocus. Who remembers Hocus Pocus? Not the movie, the song. Crazy. Anyway, no, the band. Anyway, there we go. Let me switch that to... I'll get some light on the subject. There we go. So that is the paper airplane from Honey. Love that. That was fun. That one's called First Flight. Next up is nice. Yeah, lots of points. All the points. Patrick. Yeah, it would be a small stout beer, I guess, the lens, if it was a beer. Next up is Steve Parsons Cobra. So I just call that Ellen. 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 It's not a groundhog. What are they out west? Prairie dog. Prairie dog. That's what it was. It's Alan, the prairie dog video. And finally is Mr. Anderson, has the blue origin. This is good. I got the good lens in here now, so hopefully this will show you the stars. Is it doing it? No, not really. They're there, I promise. Yeah, you can just barely see them. They're super subtle, but that's my blue origin launch. You can see that better now. And those are your three. So if you are one of the lucky two people who win tonight, you can choose one of those, or you can go on the website and pick one you want. Anything that is not chosen tonight goes up on the site. The 543s are always 50% off. These guys here. And that's something that I do all the time. There is no sale on that. They just are what they are. I always discount them because we have fun with this, and it's just one more way to kind of get original art out there and to you guys and say thank you and all that fun stuff. All right. But that's not what you want to hear. You want to hear who won. First, before I do that, let me give you try to do this a lot so that you guys can see who's on the list. There's Brian. So here's your list. You will notice that Kyle Shees is not on the list because he won last week. The deal is if you win, you can only win one painting per calendar year. So that is how that goes. But then the list resets on January 1st. So, all right, so we got 23 people on that fine list tonight. Your winner is number 12. I'm not going to look until I get here with you. Number 12. Number 12 is Mr. Scott Anderson. Mr. Anderson. Number 3 is the winner. Why? Who's at number 3? Oh, yeah, look at that. Congratulations, Mr. Anderson. You won. I didn't see you on because I didn't yell your name, but congratulations. I do know where I can get a hold of Mr. Anderson. He is an old Facebooker. So congratulations, Mr. Anderson. If he's not on, that's cool. Like I said, oh, we got to draw another one. What am I saying? He would get first shot. So I'm just gonna switch things over. We'll get ready to do the other one. If he's on, he can yell out real quick and pick one? Yeah, Kyle, exactly. Yeah, you were 12 and a half, Kyle. All right, so let's reset the list here. Jump back over to here, and we're going to draw another name off of that list. No, that's not what I wanted at all. I want this one. Buds are so close. All right. Obviously, if Mr. Anderson wins again, he does not win again. Number 14. Ah, cool. Number 14 is Mr. Mike Stevenson. I also know how to get hold of Mike Stevenson. So congratulations, Mike Stevenson. You are our other winner. Yay. So there we go. So there are your two winners. Thank you. That second one was thanks to the wonderful Miss Honey Rivera, who won 2 weeks ago, and she donated her win back and then bought a painting. She's insane. I love her. She's great. So there we go. I'm going to put these away now so we can get right back into the painting. But Mr. Anderson, if you are on, you can do what you do. Mike Stevenson, I know how to get a hold of you. So, yeah. What's fun is the more, like if you're making suggestions and I've painted your painting, your suggestion, if you go to my site on the search box up top and type in your name, it would be your name in either Facebook or YouTube. If I painted your painting, I include your name in the description so you can pull up if I've ever painted one of your paintings, which is a lot of fun. All right, now we can get serious because I have Jumboland camera. Let me get rid of all these magnets because these aren't going to work. Yeah, this the Visionaire setup is great. However, it does have its limitations on bigger panels. So they do sell a bigger one, but I also have a bigger place to paint as well. But to live stream and do that kind of fun stuff, this is all we got. So all right, let's get in on this. We'll try this. See how that works. Mike, there you are. Michael Stevenson. You know what to do. If you would like one of those three, just let me know. Shoot me a message. If you want one of the ones on the site, just let me know. We'll make it happen. All right. How's that looking? We'll do that. We'll do that. I want to make sure you guys really see what's going on here. That looks good. Okay. Yeah, that's much better. You're closer. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start kind of getting some of the details in. Since this is just kind of a standard, the back of a U.S. bill, most people think money is green, and it is, but only on the back. You think the whole bill is green, but it's not. And that's kind of a weird thing that I grew up thinking, and then when I finally started like really looking at money, I didn't realize that, but yeah. So the back has got the green in it. The front is more of a black, you know, kind of thing. So what I'm going to use for that is, let's use the Micron for that. What I'm going to do, now black sprays very well, green does not. So I'm going to kind of use that to my advantage. I'm going to pick a really reduced black. And this is a trick that you can use at home, kids. So I'm going to use a really reduced black. I'm going to use this black to do all the kind of real heavy detail work, like the real tight stuff. And then I'm going to tint it that green color. Because the green isn't going to spray as well, but the black will. So I'll be able to get all the tight detail with the black and then just kind of cheat and spray over with some green. And you'll see how that works in a second. Do I want to get really close? Do we? I think we do. Hold on. I'll move that. I'll move that. I'm going to switch you out to here because it's a rough ride and we don't want that. Oh, heck yeah. That's what we want. Oh, man. This mount is not playing very nicely. Where do I want to be? I want to be right here. Yeah, this is great. This is like razor blade close. If you would ask me if this is how this was going to pan out tonight, I would say no, because I thought we'd be super far back, but we're not. Because we're going to do detail stuff. So now you can really see the pencil marks. You can also really see that divot right there. You guys are close. Scott McKay, what's going on? Awesome, 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 awesome. Okay. So I've got the black in here. We're going to try this black. Actually, I'm going to add a little bit of, preemptively add a little bit of 40-50 to this, because this will help smooth even this really thin paint out. Again, this is where I'm hoping that the new reducer, I won't have to do this as much. I keep hearing how good it is and how it really helps the paint flow. One of the things I do to help the paint flow better is add a tiny bit of 40-50 to it. And that really does help, but I'm hoping that the new reducer is going to relieve that. Not that it's a big deal. Like, I didn't really mind it. But yeah. So what I'm going to do, again, I don't want to get this to saturation at all. Like, I don't want this to be black, because again, in the end, this is going to be green. But however, if I show you what this looks like, it's pretty dark. See that little line right up top? That's the one I just painted. But see how dark that is? But still, it's got that little halo of green around it. So that's how I'm going to do it. Because again, if I tried to do that with the green mixed in, it's not going to spray as well, you know? So it's a neat way to cheat. And it's not even cheating. I don't know. I say cheating, but it's not. All right, so the etching part of this. So this is one of those things. The etching part is, I'm painting around the etching right now. So you would probably think that spraying the whole background dark and then spraying in the etching would be the way to go. But when I do that, I will get a lot of that blue shift. This way, I won't get any of the blue shift, which is nice. It does take a little bit longer, but I don't mind. Again, because to get this painting done is not, I mean, yeah, I have the deadline of the show, you know, when the call for entries is. But aside from that, like, even if I get it to the point like where, like, you know, the deadline is coming and this isn't, you know, really done, I'm not going to push it. I'll just enter something else. So, you know, that's a given. But I want to just kind of take my time with it. You know what I mean? I don't really want to have this be something that just gets done. The other thing, again, now that I'm like kind of doing the S right here, I know this is an S, right? But I'm going to show you something in a second. So I know it's an S, right? But I traced out all the little bits and pieces that you can see. If I show you this S here, see how like the top part of the S right up here is missing? So now if I was just letting my brain take over, I would continue that line right around. Is that focused? It is. It just feels like it's not. That's crazy. I'm going to drop you guys down a little bit so you guys are more centered. So right underneath that, well, no, that didn't work either. Yeah, deception. It is. It is. It's part of the, you know, part of the magic. Smoke and mirrors. Come on, man. Oh, I know what I'm doing wrong. I'm just sucking is what I'm doing wrong. There we go. Ah, that's all I got to do right there. No, I moved it again. All right, it's fine. Everything's fine. There we go. There we go. A little bit more. There we go. Okay. Now I can make sure that's focused, which I think it is. I can see the texture in the paint, so I guess it is focused. All right, again, you know, this isn't supposed to be black. It's just supposed to be kind of there. So we'll do the bottom of the S here, and then I'll switch over to that green and kind of show you what happens with this. Now, the other nice thing about this, doing it this way, is I'll get a complexity in that color that I wouldn't get if I just mixed up a green. You know, if I just mixed up a green, I'd have to go back in with some black or some other colors and, you know, kind of mess around with it. But this way, I'm kind of doing that on purpose. You know, I'm starting with a color that's not quite right and then adding what I need to add in. Yeah. I keep checking the reference because if there's a part that's like brighter green, I want to make sure I don't have as much black on it. Like the bottom of the T right here is a lot brighter green, so I don't want to add too much paint to that. And then the details in this guy over here, more like this. All right, so the other question that's going to pop up is when do you make the decision to use a paintbrush over an airbrush? And with that, I kind of put on my photorealistic hat. So photorealism, the term has been kind of bounced around and misused, and it doesn't really mean the same thing it was originally meant or was originally put out to mean back in the 70s by Louis Mizell. The original idea was that photorealism was making a painting look exactly like a photo. And I know that sounds on the outset like just make it look real, but it's not. It means that depth of field, that out of focus, the lens flare, all the things that you would normally get with a photograph are now included in a painting. So my stuff, I like to fall somewhere in between photorealism and then just making you feel like it's real. But in this case, it helps to determine what goes on with paintbrush or airbrush. You know what I mean? Like for now, this part is really tight, but if I show you this is kind of blurry. It's out of focus a little bit. And the airbrush is just going to do that really, really well. The paintbrush, I can do that, but it's harder to get that fuzziness and that randomness that's going on in this with a paintbrush. So that's how I decide. If something's super tight or it's real difficult, like it is probably going to happen. Like the number 2 right here, where am I looking at? There we go. The number 2, that's really tight. That's probably going to be paintbrush with a little bit of airbrush around it. So that's how I kind of balance it. I use the photo to kind of tell me what to do. And it's nice. It's just a good way to do it. For me, anyway. Yeah, Gary, that's amazing. I could enter Generations. I think Three Amigos is now too old. I think I think Three Amigos is 3 years old. I'd have to double check it. But I could definitely enter Generations because I know it's at least 2 years for that painting. Most shows are like that. Some are not. I could also do the Cincinnati painting. The Cincinnati painting is newer than 3 years. Do I want to do the green? No, I'll keep going because we have a little bit of time. I'm going to try to get the triangular wedge in here for you so that I can just kind of do it and show you what it looks like in the end. Now, we're talking about shelf life on mixed paint. When you have a super hyper reduced paint like I have right now, it's not necessarily a shelf life, but what it does do is it settles out quickly. So right now I have that really reduced paint in here. If I let that sit around for a couple minutes, the pigment is going to start settling at the bottom. It's not a big deal. What I end up doing is I just end up stirring up the airbrush a little bit. So you just grab a paper towel, put it on the end of the airbrush, and then just kind of let the air bubble back into the cup. Really gently. Please, please, please don't pull the trigger back really far because you're going to be wearing it. Ask me how I know. So you do that a few times and then spray out onto your paper towel, and then that just kind of resets the brush and the paint. It's a really easy way to do it, but trust me when I say you'll pay for it if you don't, because that paint will just kind of settle at the bottom or the pigment will settle at the bottom, and then you'll end up with very difficult to spray paint. Same thing here, this line kind of gets blown out by the light, so I'll just kind of trail it off right up there. I know, I'm so sorry that I'm missing comments, but I'm trying to make sure I get enough painting done in here to make it worth it for you guys. And I don't know if I mentioned it. This brush is the Micron B, and it is generally my go-to detail brush. I've been having a lot of fun with that Infinity. Yeah, between the two of them, they've been working out pretty well. I still feel more comfortable with the Japanese brush, but that's just because it's been 40 years of it, almost 40 years of Japanese airbrushes. It's like I said originally, it's not that the Infinity is not what it's built to be. It's just, it's sleeping in a different bed, driving a different car. It's sitting on a different couch. It's a German bed. It's a German couch. They do build things with relentless attention to detail, though. It is quite the brush with that whole titanium nozzle thing going on. That's a lot of fun. These smaller details in here are very green, so I want to make sure I just wisp on that and not really push that too hard. And again, you'll see why when I go to tint this, why I'm taking the time to not put the hammer down on this. Good. Did I get everything? I do have pretty much everything except up above here on the top of the T, but you guys pretty much can't see that anyway. So, yeah, so there you go. So the JC, yeah, so the CMC is another one it's in my rotation all the time. It handles a lot of the thicker paints like the white and normally with the green, but I've got the yellow in that right now, so I'm not going to do that. Swap it out to save a little bit of time. But that Krios is Japanese built as well. Like I have one of the Krios is the 0.3 millimeter Krios, and again that's like everything I use. It's Japanese built and it just feels Japanese built, which is nice. So I do like their brushes a lot. And I'll say it again and again and again. Don't buy crap. Don't buy crap. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about. I went to Harbor Freight or whatever other store, or Temu or whatever, and I bought a $20 airbrush and I can't figure out why it's not working. All right, so there you go. Now, green. Oh, do I break open my brand new bottle of Moss Green? How much of my old Moss Green do I still have? Probably not a lot. Yeah, we're breaking open the brandy new bottle. Again, I'm super excited. My order from Spray Gunner came in. So I'm going to crack this open. What I also was excited to try too is this second bottle right here. So this is, really that's different. That's super different. Hold on one second. Hold up. Where'd it go? Brown, red oxide, yellow ochre. There it is. All right, so this is this is probably just because of the opaque binder in it. I'm trying to see where you can see this. So this is a brand new bottle of Wicked Opaque Burnt Umber. So I usually go with just a Wicked Burnt Umber, but if you look at the difference in color between these two, it's very different. Now that could be because of the opaque binder in this. The opaque binder has kind of a milky look to it, so that's probably what that is. But if that color changed that much for real, that's going to be really interesting. I mean, I'll just jump back to the detail burnt umber, but I'll definitely get use out of that because a good brown is a good brown. But this is the one I needed. That's detail moss green. That is still the same. That's a great color. That's my kind of go-to green. You know what I could also do? Since I'm not going to be adding 4050 to it, let's crack open this bottle of 4021 and see how that thing works. First, I have to get the crazy safety thing off. Oh, here's a little tip for you. So Createx has, I'll switch to, can I do this? It's gonna be dangerous. I'll show you up here first. Createx has a great system for making sure you know when you get a bottle of paint, it doesn't explode all over the carton. So they put this little safety foam foil cap in there. A really easy way to get that off or to get it started is if you take the paint, when the cap gets right to the edge, you just kind of like tilt it and start lifting it off with the cap, and then that'll start the little piece to come off. And then it comes right off. You don't have to fight it. It's a lot of fun. Oh, it's such a great green. Infinity CR plus 2 and 1 and the Chameleon both were crap. JC, that's crazy. All right, so I have very little experience with this. Is my first Harder and Steenbeck. One thing I had, a lot of the German brushes before that, let's see, do I have one here? Yeah, like this is totally dusty. This is my FB. This is the Artist 2. And on the outset, this looks like it is a nice brush. It's very well made. But what I found was the trigger is excessively stiff on this. It's brutal. So while it's a detailed brush, I really had a hard time with a brush like this. And that's kind of what I found across the whole line of FB brushes, which I was excited about them. The other thing that kind of was a bummer with this brush, and I don't know if they're still in business or not, but the crown cap, the needle protector, doesn't come off this brush, which is a huge, I can't use the brush because of it, because when I'm doing really micro stuff, I can't see where the needle is, and that's how I determine where the paint is going to come out when you're really, really close. But that was my big gripe with a lot of the Japanese manufacturers that I had tried in the past. It's just that they were really tough, like hard to just kind of maneuver, you know. That is not the case with this Infinity, though. It has a really nice trigger feel on it, which is great. All right, let's get this going. I need this brush. All right, so we're going to do our little experiment here. I'm going to use 1 drop of Detail Moss Green in this brush, and we're going to start with just 1 drop of reducer. So this will be 100% reduction, and we'll see what goes on with that. I will eventually swap this 32-ounce bottle out for a smaller bottle. But for now, that's what we got. So this is a huge test for this, because moss green, greens and blues and browns, they never want to spray. They just don't. So we'll see what happens. And I'm going to be asking a lot of this right now, because I just want to wisp on this green too. What else do I miss? I don't know. You guys are talking. I love it. Keep talking. All right, let's see what we got. This may be too intense. It's probably going to be too intense. I'll have to reduce this anyway. Not because of the spray quality, but because of how much comes out of it. Let's do a test instead of, destroying the painting. How about that? Where are you at? You're right here. Okay. All right, that's 1:1. All right, it is a little thick. And the way I can tell is because, all right, so that first little bit came out really nice, but now, see how it's grainy and it wants to kind of spit? That's not a bad thing. That just means it's a little bit too, there's too much pigment there. So I'm going to go and add another couple drops of reducer, and I'm not going to do what I would normally do, which would be add some 40-50 to it. We're going to avoid the 40-50 to see if the reducer can do the heavy lifting of smoothing that out. It's exciting. This is like product testing 101 on your live feed. What could go wrong? Javier. Oh, come on, man. We love green. All right, so this has got probably 3 parts reducer now to 1 part paint. And yeah, look at that. So now see how it's it's really like delicate. Can you see that? Yeah, you're on there. So see how it's really delicate, and it just kind of still sprays even though I'm putting a very tiny amount out. Now, if the paint is thicker, it doesn't want to do that. And this is one of the things about, detail and working with really tight detail. There isn't ever rarely an instance where you can, if you want a really tiny sharp line, that you can just drop that in. A lot of it is just being built up very slowly but in control. That's how an airbrush can get it done. So if you think that there may be somewhere out there, I've watched David Naylor do some amazing stuff right out of the brush. But for the most part, as you learn to get that control down, it's because you're building it up very slowly and very controlled, like you're just putting the paint where you want it to go. That's the huge thing about it. So this is, yeah, I'm not going to add any 40-50. We're just going to go for it. Winsor Newton had an olive green. Yeah, I think they still do. Winsor Newton very rarely removes colors. I mean, you can't get mummy brown from them, but you wouldn't want it anyway. Well, maybe mummy brown hue would be fine, but mummy brown genuine is not what we want. All right, so what I'm going to do now is, again, I'm just going to go over those black lines that I put in, those black areas, and just barely kind of tint that the detail. So again, the black, well, I was going to say the black sprays better than the green, but this green is spraying really, really well. So we might have a winner on the reducer side. What a... I'm going to hold my breath because, like I said, I've heard all the hype, and I want to believe it because I just do. But, if the paint will now spray really like it has 40-50 in it, but it doesn't, man, that's going to be a good thing. And yeah, this is definitely working. I don't want this to go sideways. I really don't. Although it is a what could go wrong kind of thing, right? Your next question, or as it should be, which is often the question, is what pressure am I running at? Well, it doesn't sound like a whole lot of air. The Micron B really focuses this down. I'm running at about 35 pounds of pressure right now. London Pen, what's up, buddy? Go for it, what could go wrong? Thanks, Chris. Now, you see up the top, I'll do a little bit more on the side, like above here. But you see what I mean about this, how this green makes that look like I originally just kind of sprayed that in with a darker olive green? But I didn't. I'm still only about 50%, and I'll show you the last step in a second once I get some of this green in, because I'm actually having a lot of fun spraying this green. Normally what would happen with moss green or blue or brown is that it would spray like this for a few minutes, and then it would just kind of clog up and then spiderweb on you. And that makes me sad. But this is not doing that. So what the hecko? Now your next question is, Steve, why did you wait so long to get a bottle of this stuff? It's been out for almost a year. And my answer is, I'm a cheap guy. I had a lot of 4011, and 4011 was working great for me. So I'm like, I'm just going to run out my 4011 and then I'll get the new reducer. Well, if this continues to work this way, then I have done a dumb thing, because I should have just bought the bottle. Yeah, this is nice. Again, I'm not going to make my final decision on this until I really use it a lot, but this is, out of all the colors I could have chosen to test this out on, moss green is a good one, because like I said, it just doesn't spray very well. Even the detailed moss green, or that it's detail, even there it just doesn't spray very well. And it's okay, it's the pigment, it's not the paint. I mean, it is the paint, but you know what I'm saying. It's not like they decided to, or they didn't make a good paint that day. You know what I mean? It's just the pigment is tough, to get to spray the way they want it to. Well, what do you know? I'm so excited about the way it's spraying. I'm not paying attention to anything else, which is not good, because you guys are awesome, and I should be watching comments too, but I'm also having fun. Because what do you know? All right, so the bottom line is, see how green that is? That's amazing. That's crazy. All right. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So let me change this out. So the next step, the final step, is to take it down the rest of the way. Right now, it's pretty green. You know, I mean, it is green there, but see how the insides of those, like up here, are really dark, where mine is still kind of not really there. So now the last step, you guys still focused, right? Yeah. Last step is to get it the rest of the way. So, but this time, what I'm going to do is I was just going to use my pre-mixed black, but I'm going to put out a brand new drop of black. I'm going to put the black in the brush. Here we go. One drop of black. That was a big drop of black. And I'm going to use the new reducer. We'll try it with black too and see what we got. Yeah, definitely got to put this in the smaller bottle. It smells a lot different too than the 4011. It actually has like an old, like, I don't want to say it smells like 4012, but it's got that initial like hit, like something stronger in it. It's interesting. Kyle. I didn't do that, Kyle. No, I can't do that. Well, maybe. All right, I don't know what this, let's do a little test run on this again. This is black. This is about same thing. It's about 3-to-1. Interesting, because this is not spraying as well. You can see how grainy it is. But I might have a bunch of paint stuck in the bottom, full on paint. So let me mix this up again. I'm going to do it the same way. I'm just going to kind of cover the end of the airbrush with a paper towel and then bubble that back up to really make sure that I have all the heavy pigment mixed into the cup. I'm guessing that's what that is, because that was just spraying like opaque black out of my Micron with no reduction. Spray out a bunch of that, because you want to get all that, any residual, heavy paint that's still stuck in here. You want to get all that out. So even though I back flushed it, I spray out a bunch of it to get rid of whatever's left. Let's try this. No, that's still not spraying great. I'll show you the difference. Okay, so see how it just stopped there? Now it's kind of like spitting out a little bit, like real grainy, and then it skips and stops like that. Oh, you didn't even see that. All right, try it again, Steve, but it's still going to do it, so you'll see it. Give you a little, there we go. All right, so as I go to spray this, it kind of spits at the end, and it it doesn't have that soft feel to it. It's just kind of chunky, and then at the end it has little spittle, like little grainy bits. So now let me clear this out. So the mystery continues. Now, what that could be is, that could be that the moss green is brand new and the black is not, which is why the green sprayed so well. However, if I go and grab my hyper reduced black, the one that has the 4011 in it, and I go back to my old, well, not my old ways, my current ways, where I add a little bit of 4050 to that. Mix that up real well. Now we'll go to that same spot. There we go. Let's go right there so you can see them side by side. So now when I go to spray this, you get that really soft kind of pull. There's none of that like clumpy, immediately clumpy, and then, spitty at the end. All right, so I'm gonna have to figure out what's going on with that. So for now, what we'll do is we'll just use this the other way. Yeah, Javier, this is the regular standard 0.18 in the Micron B. Yeah. So now what I can do is just kind of straighten things. Actually, you know what? Let's do this. We're talking about a little bit of paintbrush work. So I'm going to show you how how that would mix the two. This would be a good opportunity. Which I don't have the palette cam on, so I can't anyway because this painting is so big it blocks some of the palette, but you'll be okay if I just explain what I'm doing on the palette. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of that moss green and a little bit of the black and make a really, really dark green. And this is a Winsor & Newton Series 7. So what I'm going to do with that green is I'm going to keep it fairly thin so it palettes out really nicely. And then what I can do with that is, let's see if I can get this to, it's still kind of intense. What I really want to do is almost like dry brush. So what I'm going to do for this is I'm going to play to the strengths of each tool. So what I'm going to do with the paintbrush is kind of come in really lightly and sharpen up some of the things that like the airbrush really couldn't pull off. Now because there's so much paint on, well, there's the black and the green already. I can kind of, darken this whole thing, but you won't be able to see the paintbrush strokes because there's so much airbrush going on there already, which is really, really nice. And again, it's playing to the strengths of both. Like I'm getting much more control out of, the edges now than I would with the airbrush. Because again, the airbrush wants to spray everything soft, even the micron. But the paintbrush on this scale can really like get in there and tighten stuff up. But as long as I dry brush this, which dry brush just means there's not a lot of paint in this paintbrush. I have to go over it a bunch of times and just to kind of pull the paint out of the brush. But what that does for you is it gives you a lot more control over what you're doing. You're not, if I had this paintbrush really wet and full, if I touched that surface, all the paint would just flow right out and it would immediately get to saturation. And that's not what I want here. I just want to use this paintbrush to kind of tint what's already on there and sharpen up some of the edges where they need to be sharpened. And that's pretty much the way it goes. The downside with dry brushing is, as you probably guessed, your paintbrush dries out pretty quick, so you got to keep repaletting it often. But the upside is way worth it. You get this. Oh, I forgot to paint that green. But I can still tighten that up now and just hit it with the green after. So I'm just kind of going back and forth with the reference photo and just kind of seeing where those sharp edges are. Again, I don't want to let my brain take over and just sharpen everything up and outline the S and all that stuff. I want to really kind of keep jumping back to the photo and make sure I'm kind of doing it the right way. Spraying like the older Infinity. Yeah, no, that's going to take a little bit of messing around with. And ultimately, it might mean that I still have to add 40-50 to it to get it to spray the way I want, even with the new reducer. And I'm fine with that. It's all good. But yeah. I give Createx a lot of credit because they're always pushing the envelope, and I love that. All right, so that's that. Let me back you guys up a little bit, and I'll show you the whole thing. I'll get the camera out of the way. So, yeah, you start to get the feel for where the detail is going to be in this. And it's nice with this image, the field in the middle, like the brightest part is really in focus, as much focus as it can be in. So this part here, as it crosses over this bill too, this is all in focus too, but the stuff that gets closer to the camera down here is not as in focus, and the stuff that kind of trails over the back side of these bills. So what's nice is these become little mini landscapes, which is exactly what I was hoping for. I want, even though I've broken some of the rules as far as composition go in this, meaning like this is centered and it's got space all around it, I'm taking my cues from those older paintings that do exactly the same thing. Normally, I would have something busting off one of the edges or two of the edges to kind of give you that motion. However, this one, I'm going a little bit different way. Originally, like I said, or you saw at the beginning, I have the horizon line and an angle on this painting to give it a lot more motion. I've changed that in this one. I wanted to have a much more solemn kind of, feel. Again, I'm not going to get into what this painting means to me. It's represents some bad stuff for me, but I need to get it out of me at the same time, So that's kind of what this is. So anyway, that's the Reader's Digest. But yeah, now I just got to do that everywhere. I got to do the whole thing. if you guys want to see this one again, I would be more than happy to work on this one live. I probably won't pull this one out as a live feed again, just because, you know, it's pretty much going to be a lot of that same kind of thing, and we try to keep things different. But if you want to see it, just you know, leave me a comment for that, and I would be happy to work on this one live as long as I'm working on it. All right, that's what I got. So did we see? We know Mr. Anderson. I know Mike was on. I didn't see if Mike picked something. The only thing I need to know from Mike and Scott is if you want one of the ones from tonight. Does it get better texture, Steve? Oh, I'm not sure, JC, what you mean, better texture. The airbrush or the paintbrush? Because they're different, I guess. Oh, are we blaming the 4021? No, way too early in the game for that. I'm going to switch to this one. It's way too early in the game. The moss green sprayed amazing, but that could be because this is a brand new bottle of moss green. Again, here is my bottle of black. I mean, this bottle is really old because I just keep refilling it, but the 32-ounce bottle I have that I'm using for this is also pretty old. So it might, the problems we were just seeing with the black might be because this bottle is a little bit older. That's going to take a little bit of testing, but out of the gate, man, that was crazy. That was amazing. Because again, moss green does not spray very well, which is why I approached this painting the way I just did. I sprayed the black because I knew the black would spray very well, and the green doesn't. So I was leaning on the black to be really good, and it turned out that it was the green. So knowing that, moving forward, I can mix up a dark green now and just kind of get it started in one shot. So that's what that is. Again, I don't know if Mike had picked a painting, but I'm going to assume not if he doesn't jump on real quick. And I didn't see Mr. Anderson. So those three are going to go up on the website. If you would like one of those, you can grab it immediately after. I'm going to put those live. And they all still win paintings. They get to pick whatever they want. So if you do win, you don't have to, you don't have to be here live. Just again, check the social medias, my socials, the next day to check if you won, if you're not here. That's what I got. All right. Thank you all for hanging out. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for buying paintings. Thank you for everything you do, for commenting and hanging out and liking and subscribing and blah, 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 blah. Feeding that algorithm monster. I love it. You guys are the best. And yeah, I will catch you all next week. Actually, no, come by Wednesday and paint Tokyo with me. It'll be fun, I promise. All right. Have a great night, and I will catch you guys later. Oh, you get to look at Chardin. There we go. Good night, guys.